I got Sophia.
How can you work when you're that fat?
Hey, good morning, Wolfpack. I want to welcome everybody here today. It is October 25th, 2019. I want to welcome everybody to our fourth guest speaker series today. I'm coming to you live from Red Rooster Cafe, downtown Ludington. Just a couple of little logistics we need to remember. Could everybody right now, could you mute your sound? Go ahead, mute your button. There you go. That would eliminate some feedback today as we get going. I want to welcome, we kind of filled up the house a little bit today. Today is our fourth guest speaker series live from Des Moines area, Des Moines, Iowa. Major Sean Quinlan, I talked a little bit about him yesterday. We did get a chance to take a look at a cool feature video, but we're going to talk about that later on. But I want to welcome everybody here today before we get started. Alyssa in Austin, you got a special inside kind of peek into our two guests that were joining us, didn't you? Are you there, Alyssa? All right, she's there. But anyway, Alyssa, Austin, good to have you here with us today. Sabrina Bree, welcome. Good morning. Crystal from down in Shelby, good to see you. Crystal, looking forward to seeing you later on this afternoon. Sean, how are you, Sean?
I'm doing well.
Sean Quinlan is here, but we also have a Sean Purple. Sean, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good, man. Awesome. Good to see you here. Sequoia, good morning. Sequoia, is Tim there, and is Nico with you?
Nico is probably sleeping, but me and Tim are watching.
Go pound on his door, wake him up, get him out of bed here. I'm just kidding you. Good to see you, Sequoia.
Good to see you.
I want to have a conversation with you later on today. Some things I want to talk with you about, so I'll give you a shout out here later on today. Awesome. And Natalie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
All right, man, great. Welcome. David, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
David Schillinger. David, I'll be right after this guest speaker series. I'll boogie on down to see you in just a little bit, okay?
All right, sounds good.
All right, man. And good morning to Jelani. Jelani, give me a shout out. Let's hear you. How you feeling, Jelani?
I just want to sleep, bro.
You want to sleep. Well, hey, we're going to wake you up today, girl. But hope you're feeling better. Good to see you. Kiara Smith. Good. Hey, you're home already, eh, Kiara?
Yeah. Oh,
good.
It's
Don't worry about the dog, man. Good to see you this morning. Nice meeting with you and your mom.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Looking forward to looking at it. And that's all right. Shout out to your dog. What's your dog's name?
Felix.
All right,
He's
Felix.
barking at me.
Not a cat either, right? Hey, Tim. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning.
Good morning, man. Wow, we got a full house today. Is there anybody I may have missed? Well, listen, let's get on with today's piece. I want to open up our guest speaker today. We've had an opportunity to I also want to welcome Mr. Larry Hunt. Larry, are you there?
I am.
There he is. Good to have you back. And all our guest speakers that have joined us in our guest speaker series also get an invite to join us. Glad to have you aboard here, Larry. As you recall, Larry was one of our guest speakers a few weeks ago. So good morning to you too, Mr. Hunt.
Morning.
All right. Hey, listen, I'd like to introduce you. So once again, could everybody hit your mute button for now so I don't get any feedback? That'd be awesome. Kiara. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Awesome. Well, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to today's guest speaker. Today's guest speaker, I like this title called Leading with Power. I'm going to just download that a little bit here and give you an insight, introduce him a little bit. His name is Major Sean Quinlan. He's retired U.S. Marine Corps, actually pinned Lieutenant Colonel. For 27 years, he served our country and served it well. He is continually serving our country well. He just presently has spent 6 or 7 years in the public school, Des Moines Public Schools, as an ROTC instructor, leader. Also a former football coach. He has a long resume of his impact with young men and women, not only with ROTC program, but also with his football program. I'm reading to you, I think, something that really stands out to me personally when we bring on our guest speaker today. is a quote because he has been traveling the country, throughout the country as a highly sought after guest speaker, motivational speaker. I'm going to call him also a dang good coach who could coach you as a life coach, give you some guidance and direction. And I'm going to read to this piece that I think really stood out and introduces our guest speaker quite well. It came on this flyer. It says, Major Sean Quinlan, he held 300 college, high school, junior football coaches spellbound as he walked through them his plan on building a championship team. He utilized his personal anecdotes laced with quotes and stories to deliver an impact challenge to everyone present. As a leader of Marines and dealing with life-threatening situations, he blended a vision and leadership with his practical timeline to get his men to achieve the goals. The Major has both motivational, inspirational his message, his delivery, and his thoughtful quotes of leadership, past and present, make a must aspiring achievers. You know, it gives me great honor to not only introduce our guest speaker today that has a long resume of impacting the lives of other people. I think you're going to walk away today saying, wow, can I get a hold of Major Quinlan? I want to hear some more. It gives me great pleasure to introduce my brother, my younger brother, because he looks about 10 years younger than I, Major Sean Quinlan. Welcome, Sean. Good to have you with us here today.
Well, thank you for the warm welcome, and it's truly an honor to be here today. I'd like to start out first saying that a lot of things will catch my eye. You know, all of us, whether you're a student of 14 or 15 or 16, or you're an adult, there's a lot of things that catch our eyes, right? Could be a car, could be a house, could be a nice iPhone or whatever the case may be. But there's very, very few things that catch my heart. I say again, there are a lot of things that catch my eyes when things go by, but there are very, very few things that catch my heart. And anytime that I have the opportunity to address young men and women, as well as adults, young or old, I think having the platform today to hopefully inspire some of you or all of you to dig within that well and all those gifts and talents that you have in you. So things that catch my heart are the youth of America, not money, not material things. So when I say things catch my eye, a lot of things catch your eye, but your heart is where your passion is. And I would love to be able to tap into the passion of each and every one of you and maybe share some of the things, share a little bit about my story, share some things that I've learned along the way, but more importantly, give you some guidance that might help remove some of the obstacles that might impede you from being successful. So everybody, to start my presentation today, I've got great respect because it speaks volumes that every one of you are here this morning to get up, get out of bed, make a conscious effort to go ahead and listen and hopefully take some notes, because I'm going to give you some things that I want you to write down. And you can write them down. I will never know if you write them down or not. But I promise if you write them down, there'll be some things that later on that you can reflect on and say, you know what? Mr. Quinlan's younger brother, Mr. Quinlan's buddy, Mr. Hunt, they've actually got some pretty good wisdom and some things that can help us through our life. So I really thank you for this opportunity, Phil.
Yeah.
Larry, good to have you. Students, I look forward to this next 20 to 30 minutes, just doing what I do.
That's awesome. Hey, we're excited to have you here today too. And I also want to interject a little bit with our students that we are going to show your video at the end of this piece. I think it would really tie in beautifully at the end. So I want you all to stay on the line after we sign off or finish up here today. So thank you, Sean. We appreciate you being here today.
All right.
I also want to remind everybody to maybe jot down as Major Quinlan is challenging you a question or two. You don't want to miss out on an opportunity to ask a question and get some insight. So great to have a full house here today too. I'm real proud of everybody showing up. So go ahead, Sean. Good to have you with us.
All right. First area I'd like to cover is something that gets a negative connotation, which I think. Can I get the kids to introduce themselves real quick, Phil, so I can just get some names down?
Yep. Go ahead, guys. Let's start.
Just say your name.
Just say your name. Weigh in, everybody. Thanks so loud.
David Schillinger.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Yep.
Natalie Porter.
Thank you, Natalie.
Kiara Smith.
Name? What's the name?
Kiara Smith.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Come on, don't be shy.
Just say hi.
Sean Purple.
Sean Purple. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Tim Curtis.
Tim. All right.
Let's hear you. Got about 7 more out there. Introduce yourself. That was Crystal. Sorry, Crystal, I interrupted you. Crystal and Shelby.
Okay, Crystal Shelby. Thank you.
Sequoia Olds.
Sequoia. I like that name.
Thank you.
Come on, Jalady, let's hear you. Lucas, you're there?
Bree Shaw.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Jalady, Jalady's pretty sick. She's not feeling well.
That's all right. And that's,
Lucas
again, one of the things I always like to do is, this is a little bit different, and I'm getting better at it, is not being able to physically and take a look at you and you look at me, because body language is about 85% of communication. A lot of people don't know that. However, we're not able to always have this interface. First and foremost, I want to let every one of you know that you are blessed to have someone of my brother's caliber who really cares about your future, because I guarantee up until now, I don't know the type of education you've received. I do know how proud he is of what you all do in, day out. Each and every one of you fall short. Each and every one of you do great things. But I get to live his job sort of vicariously through him, which that means I get to get the updates weekly, if not a couple times a week, on the great things that you all are doing. With that being said, a little bit about myself. I come from Scottsville, Michigan. You're all very, very familiar with Scottsville, Michigan. I grew up in a small town outside of Scottsville, or not town, small little community. There was about 50-some kids out there, 6 brothers and sisters, all of us, and had an education at Scottsville Elementary, middle school, and high school. And went in, was going to go in the service. Unfortunately, I was in a car accident, which prevented me at that time going in the service. However, a couple of years later, I was able to get into the Marine Corps. I was fortunate enough to serve for 27 years, just shy of 27 years. And then I went into teaching, which has been one of the most gratifying jobs, teaching and coaching, jobs that I've ever had as a person. Let's talk a little bit. I have a wife. I've got 3 kids. I've got 3 grandkids. So I'm normal as your parents, your grandparents, whatever the case may be. Now, one of the things you probably ask, why is Mr. Quinlan being in speakers? First and foremost, he's got a depth of knowledge a mile deep, and he's a great teacher. However, he wants to bring in other individuals, men and women, that reinforce what he is trying to articulate to you on a daily basis. David and Natalie, what's different this year as opposed to last year, school-wise? Either one of you. There's no wrong answer. When I ask you a question, there's no wrong answer.
What's different for me is I'm taking 2 classes at Ludington while doing school with G2S this year.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Okay. And what role has my brother played in your education?
Just always being willing to be there for me whenever I have questions and that, and whenever.
Hey, I appreciate you being a leader. It takes a lot. So when you look at those type of compassions, years from now, you're going to look back about the people that were important in your life, good, bad, or indifferent. Every one of us here has had to experience adversity. Is there anybody that is listening right now that has never had adversity? Okay, that means all of us have been through adversity. We'll talk about that at another time. But it sounds, David, that being able to take 2 classes at Ludington, utilizing G2 Academy, and this type of learning, has it been better for you to do this or in the classroom?
It's good. It's probably like perfect this year, so I'm taking the 2 classes at Ludington so I can play middle school basketball there. So
Good.
with,
How are you doing in the classes at Ludington?
both A's in them, so good.
Well, I'm proud of you. It's great to hear. And the thing about it is, I guarantee Mr. Q or my brother, anytime you need something, and that's all you students, all you have to do, he's a phone call away, and I'm not telling you anything he hasn't told you. I share that with you because when I look back at my high school career, and Mr. Hunt can dovetail into here as well, my brother can, there weren't a lot of educators, I'm going to be honest with you, that I really felt cared about me. And I don't mean that they were mean to me whatsoever, but they did not really take my best interest and really know me as a person and really care about what maybe I was going through on the home front. Who here has struggles on the home front? I do. I'll be the first one to admit I have struggles on the home front.
Amen.
Anybody else?
Yep, I do.
Anybody else have challenges out there?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And life is, and I'm just going to let you know, life is going to throw a lot of challenges at all of us. The key, I want you to write this down. If you got a pen and paper, the key about all the challenges that are thrown at you, it is the how you respond to those challenges is really going to dictate your attitude in your future. So I will say that again. How you respond to adversity or challenges, how you respond to it is going to dictate, we all want happiness. Is that correct? I think we all would like to be happy. Is that a true statement there, Carrie, Crystal, Sequoia? Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, we all want to be happy. But we all know that's you're not going to be happy 24/7. Is that a fair assessment, Natalie?
Yes.
It is, right? We're going to have bad days and good days, right?
Yes.
Natalie, how do you make it through your bad days?
What mostly helps with me is that I have my friends and family and Mr. Quinlan to help me through my bad days and stuff like that. So I think you just really need a good support system along with it.
Oh, wow. Outstanding answer, Natalie. And what I don't think we do enough, is that you? Somebody else, Phil? Is that you?
No, that's somebody's dog.
Okay. Natalie, I think you bring up a very, very valid point there, is that support systems. Every one of you, and I don't know how the G2 Academy works and every one of your backgrounds, but I do know that having others to lean on, you can't do this alone. And what I mean by that is life is a team sport, if that makes sense. Is that fair? Life is a team sport. And there's going to be times that we're down and out. And nobody who's ever felt lonely before, I think every one of us that are on this video teleconference can say there are times that we felt like we've been on an island and we're by ourselves. I've been there myself. And whether it could be depression or anxiety or any of those things that we go through, you always have to remember you've got great people around you that you can always lean on. The next thing I want to talk about is a word that gets negative vibes. So I want you to write this word down. You guys have all heard it. Ready? It's a real big one called discipline. And I really mean self-discipline. So let's just write self-discipline down. Okay, here's my real simple definition of self-discipline. You ready? And I'm not going to charge anybody for this information. This is free information for the old man. Okay, here it is. To do what you should do when you should do it. So everybody write that down. To do what you should do when you should do it. Make sure you're writing it down because I'm going to ask you a question because I want to see who's paying attention. My brother calls that check for understanding. He's a teacher, I'm not. So he tells me always ask check for understanding. To do what you should do when you should do it, whether you feel like doing it or not. Wow. So who would like to repeat that to me?
I wrote it down, but come on. I want to hear from
Do
you.
what you should do.
I didn't write it down, but did you say discipline, something you should do, but whether you want to or not?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it one more time.
It sounds like school.
Yeah, to do what you should do, whether you should do it, you know, whether you want to do it or not, whether you feel like doing it or not. Because a lot of times there's no need to be done, but we say, you know what, I don't want to do it. And you have to be able to do it whether you feel like it or not. You're not always going to feel like doing the things that are very difficult.
You know, Alyssa, Sean made a point about it just sounds like school. Alyssa, that's not,
Prioritizing.
yeah, and it's no different than what you're doing at work at Scotty's, Alyssa.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but I
Okay.
still don't want to go to work. I have to do it because I got to make
Amen.
money.
Sorry, Sean, I just wanted to share that insight that Alyssa shared. A good point.
So basically, it's doing it when you know it should be done, whether you feel like it or not. Well, like Phil just said, and you talked about working at Scotty's, you talked about going to school. Now, why I say you do that, the more you do those things, you're going to build up what I call a well of fortitude, which means every time you do those things, though, you know have to be done, and you do them anyways, because what do most people do? They won't do it.
No.
And then what will they usually do? When someone calls them out on it, they'll blame somebody else, they'll complain about it, and they'll never accept what? They'll accept what for their actions? Somebody help me out with that word.
Responsibility.
Who is that?
Alyssa.
Listen, spot on. They won't accept responsibility. So I learned at a young age sort of that definition of leadership, and I've kept it with me up until I'm this age. There were times as a U.S. Marine that when it was 120 degrees out and we're out in the field for 3 weeks, and it's hot, it's miserable, I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I'm the guy in charge, and I'm just as miserable as the Marines that I'm blessed to lead, but I do it anyways because I know in the end it's for the betterment of our organization. And doing those types of things later on in life, people will say, well, why is Alyssa successful? Why is Sequoia successful? Why is Natalie successful? Why is David successful? They would go do what others won't do.
You follow through. Right.
I'm a person, my brother's a person, Mr. Hunt's a person that are always willing to do what others won't do so we can have what they don't have.
Amen.
I say again, we're willing to go do what others won't do in order to have what they don't have. And when you're younger, you don't understand it as much because you're like, well, they just got me doing this, they got me doing that. But work ethic is really my number one principle I want you to take away. I got 3 more. So work ethic, and you can't have work ethic without discipline. So my first one was work ethic and discipline. A lot of you hold jobs. A lot of you go to school. To be able to balance that is extremely impressive. And I'm extremely proud of each and every one of you that you're willing to go do those things. And a lot of you help your families by going out there to work. I know that because I came from a school where a lot of my students would actually go to work in order to help support the family. oh, by the way, then they would have 6 high school classes they were studying for. And those types of things speaks volumes to each and every one of you. Okay? Now, the second thing that I want to talk about is taking what I call pride of ownership in everything you do. What does that mean to you, Alyssa? Pride of ownership.
I don't know. Everything I go by, I own whatever I do. I mean, I wouldn't do it unless I knew it was right.
Good. Very good. Now, Sequoia, are you there?
Yes, sir.
What do you think about taking pride in what you do? Is that important?
Oh, yes, very important.
Okay, I like it. So what I'm trying to, the second thing I want you to write down is called pride of ownership. And here's why. If you've got great discipline and you got good work ethic, then the next thing down is if we take great pride in what we do. Right now, a lot of you are students. If you take pride in that English class and that geography project or whatever it may be, those habits are going to carry over into the next phase of your life. Life is just full of phases, right? You guys are at the beginning of your book. I call you guys are all writing a book about your life. And you're at the beginning. And throughout your life, you're going to progress through that book. But if you in I think the foundation of anything is that hard work and discipline. Now, you have to take great pride in what you do. Everything you do, from taking the trash out to cutting the grass, to shoveling the driveway, all those things that you're telling me you don't want to do, right? We just talked about that's what discipline is. Doing what we don't know, doing what we don't want to do, even though we know it's the right thing, and doing it whether we like it or not. That's the key about discipline. You got to do it regardless if you want to or not, because we know it has to be done. Well, same thing when you take great pride in your efforts. If you take great pride, tomorrow, I'm going to get up tomorrow, I want you to make your bed. I want all 14 young women and men to make your bed tomorrow. And you're going to say, why? I'm telling you right now, you make your bed. My brother's going to get some books for you, and we're going to go over that. Maybe we can have sort of a book club. I haven't even talked to my brother about it, but maybe we can have a book club, and we discuss each one of those chapters.
It's a great
But making your bed for the first thing you do in the morning, that's a sense of accomplishment. So now I took pride, my bed is made. So even if your day is terrible, Sequoia, even if your day is terrible, Sean, even if your day is terrible, David, you can at least come home and go, you know what? I made my bed today. I can take pride in that. I know it's something very small, but pride of ownership, I want you all to take great pride in everything you do. Coming to school, your appearance, your whatever, wherever you live. I don't care if you live in a mansion or you live in a smaller, it doesn't matter to me. Take great pride in taking care of the things that you have. Your teacher, Mr. Quinlan, and I grew up in a 130-year-old farmhouse. Okay? It wasn't brand new, but everything in there, we tried to keep it clean, keep it organized the best we could. And when you do those things, these are things that are going to make you super successful in life. You work hard. You take great pride. So the first one I wanted you to write down, Natalie, was what? Discipline, right? Anybody out there?
Yeah, Natalie, she has Wi-Fi issues. She just dropped. She texted.
Okay, David. David, you out there?
Yeah.
Okay, what was my first one I want you to take away? Write down. What was it?
Self-discipline.
Yeah, self-discipline, right? I got to do stuff we don't want to do to get what we want. That's number one. Number two, we're going to take what? Great pride of what?
Ownership.
Work ethic.
Well, yep, work ethic goes with discipline. The second thing is take pride of ownership. And what do I mean by that? Here's really what I mean by ownership. Every day you get to come up, you get to wake up, Bree, Sequoia, David, Natalie, Sean. You all have the power to choose. You get to choose your attitude. Nobody else gets to choose it. You do. You get to choose to take pride in putting on your clothes in the morning, looking decent, washing your face, doing the hygiene things that you do every day. That's called taking pride within yourself. Now, you have pride of ownership. Everything you do at the end of the day, Natalie, you up yet?
Natalie just texted me. She had to go to an appointment.
Okay, who's up? Who wants to talk? Tim? David?
Yeah.
Okay, David, you're on. David, you're going to be my leader for the day. Go, David. When you wake up in the morning and you take great pride because you got the discipline to get up, you make a choice every single day to get up and get after it. There's going to be days you get up and you don't feel like getting up, but you get up anyways. Okay?
Yep.
The bottom line is if you've got good self-discipline, which applies to your work ethic, you take great pride of what you do. And pride of ownership means you own your decisions is what I'm trying to say. Every day you get up, you own a decision whether to do your homework, whether to gaff your homework off, whether to help your mother, whether to do your job, and to do it to the best of your ability. Those are choices you make. So you get to own your decisions. And when you start to realize you own your decisions, you start to accept that big word we call responsibility, right?
Yep.
I'm responsible for my actions. David, do you know anybody that blames and complains all the time?
Yeah, I do know a couple people. Yeah.
I do too. Mr. Hunt, you there? He's not there. Anybody else know anybody that blames and complains?
I'm going to weigh in. I know a handful.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And do you think, David, do you think that continues throughout their life, or do they all of a sudden have an epiphany one day and just stop doing it?
It probably will continue through their whole life.
Very good. And the sooner, if you want to change your life, you have to change your habits. Write that down. For me to change my life, I have to change my habits. My brother didn't know what I'm going to say today, and he probably will never invite me on here again. If you want to change your life, you got to change your habits. So everybody write that down.
Amen, brother.
If you want to change your life, change your habits. My brother and I were C students in high school. We are not ashamed of that. We both went on to get our master's degree, graduated with honors, and have lived a pretty good, successful life because we had self-discipline. We took pride of what the heck we did. We took responsibility for our actions, and we never blamed others for where we were at. Sometimes you probably look at Mr. Quinlan or other people and say, well, they've had it made all their life, until you know their story, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, you got to know each other's story. So we got discipline, which is your work ethic, self-discipline. We got to do the things we don't want to do in order to get what we want. Number two, we got to take great pride in our work and own our choices, right? Every day you make a choice. You make good choices, bad choices, accept responsibility that goes with it. Okay? Everybody understands that. Are there any questions on those two?
Nope.
All right. And how do we change our life? How are we going to change our life? We have to change something.
Change your habits.
Oh, I like it. Who is that?
Kiara Smith.
I'm going to have to send you something. Very good. If you change your habits a little bit every day, over time, you will change your life. I promise you. My brother's done it. I have done it. All the successful people I know were willing to change habits. Habits are hard to change. But you have to do a little bit at a time, and you have to have accountability people that'll help you out do that. All right, the third thing is, everybody ready? Make sure we're writing this down. Is we got to do little attention to detail things. We got to do all those little things that failures don't want to do. Somebody give me an example, or Mr. Quinlan, give me an example of attention to detail things that people overlook.
Well, I think the one intention was what Kiara just spoke to, is creating a system for yourself. Attention to detail is, how do you control your day? So as I've been sharing with the webinar folks, is whether it's meditation, prayer, thought, writing, reading, getting your mind ready for the day so the day doesn't control you. So an attention to detail that most people don't apply is roll out of bed and respond to how the day is going to respond to them. So right away, you're behind the 8 ball. So by my lack of details, attention to details, which I think are important, can really make my day miserable. And every day that I've had a terrible day, I'm telling you, goes back to how I started my day.
Very good. I appreciate that insight. Does anybody else have any comments they would like to add to what Mr. Quinlan just said? And I know everybody, when you're in a forum like this, a lot of time we don't want to answer because we got other people on the thing, but I think it's best when you're just open, honest, and vulnerable. And vulnerable meaning that, hey, this is what I think, but that's okay. Just do the little things that you know need to be done. I was a military guy, and if we overlooked a lot of the detail things in my line of work, unfortunately, the cost was probably what? Who is going to answer that for me? If we overlooked the little things as a U.S. Marine infantry officer, what could be the grave outcome? Would anybody like to answer that?
Come on, you guys know.
In the military, if you overlook little things, what possibly could happen if you're not paying attention or paying close attention to detail?
Someone's gonna get hurt or die.
There, who is that?
Koya.
Okay, very good. Now, we're not in that business. However, that was just an example, because I like to give you all metaphors or examples of doing the little things, okay? And what's going to break you out, when I mean break you out, if I'm going to hire all 15 of you and there's 100 people applying, I'm going to look for little things that you do that others won't do. And I think attention to detail, and my brother will expound upon it later on because him and I both have lived these qualities. We've tried to live these principles and use them as guiding posts, or we've tried to use them as a beacon for us to aspire. Okay, hey, we're going to be self-disciplined. We're going to take pride in what we do, and we're going to do the little things that failures don't like to do. Those are the things that we want to do. We got time for one more, Mr. Quinlan, or do we got to get going?
No, we've got about 4 minutes to wrap up. I love your challenge. You've got me writing things down now, brother. So it's all good. So
okay, last thing I'll just talk about is character. You guys hear it all the time. You hear this character thing, and what is character? What's this character-based education? What is character? Would anybody like to take a jab or a shot at what character? And again, when we ask these questions, there's no wrong answer. You could look it up on your phone right now and say, and give me the definition. And if someone's got their phone there, go ahead and do it. What is character? And it all ties into the other 3 words I just talked about: discipline, attention to detail, taking pride in what you do, work ethic. These are all qualities that make up people of character. Anybody want to take a shot at character?
I don't have my phone with me to look up the definition, but
You don't need a phone, just put in your own words.
an example is me, how I'm not too, I need to work on some things like a schedule and stuff like that, but I do what I like every day. I love this school, like the school that I go to, G2.
Okay.
I love going there, and I'm so glad that I switched. And I'm glad I get to do what I want to do and stuff like that. I would like to work on a schedule so I'm not so messed up with my stuff that I do every day. But besides that, I don't know what else to say about character. It's kind of like what you do, I think.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that.
Absolutely. Very good answer. I appreciate you being a leader. I think one of the
Thanks,
biggest things that I look at character is what you just said there. It sort of goes along the line with initiative is a lot of it too is doing the right thing when nobody's looking, right? Is it easy to do the right thing when everybody's looking? Yes or no? That's for everybody. Is it easy to do the right thing when everybody's looking?
Don't be shy. I don't think it is.
I think it's hard. When everybody's looking, it's pretty easy. But when nobody's looking, it takes what? It takes my first principle. What's my first principle?
Discipline.
Yeah. So when nobody is looking, it takes a lot of self-discipline to do the right thing when nobody's looking. And every one of us falls short. So don't think that if you've done that, oh, I'm bad and I'm a sinner. And no, we've all have done it. The key is to constantly work at trying to do those things consistently. What I talk about, how do you change your life? You change your habits. If you change your habits about doing the right thing over and over and over, after a while, character will just come. And they will say, Dave is a great young man of character. Sean is a man of character. Natalie is a young woman of character. Okay? I mean, that's just how it works. Sequoia, she has great character. That's a great compliment. And I think a statement I will make, you can write this down, and my brother and I use it frequently. He probably uses it around you. Do right, fear no one.
I love that quote.
I'll end on that one. Do right, fear no one. Someone tell me what that means to them, and then we're done. I'll open up for questions.
Do right.
Do right, fear no one. There's no wrong answer.
To me, I think do right, fear no one could mean, would mean that you do the right things, but you don't fear what people think about you after you do the right things.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Who is that again?
That's Kiara.
Kiara, that's beautiful, because when you start to do what you just said, quit worrying about the opinions of other adolescents, adults, and you quit worrying about what they think about you. If you're doing the right thing, who cares what anybody thinks? And that's a hard thing to do when you're young, because a lot of things, we do things based off of whether people like us or not. So that's very, very difficult to stand alone like that jagged rock in the river when everybody around you is the water doing the wrong thing, that you're willing to stand up and do right and fear no one. So write that down. I'll cover everything. I talked about self-discipline, which means, hey, we got to have a great work ethic. I talked about pride of ownership, which means, hey, we got to take pride in everything we do. Do it everything we can to the best of our ability. We got to make good choices, okay? Because when you make good choices, you have to accept the responsibility, good and bad. And number 3, talked about what? Character, right? Character. Do right, fear no one. Do the right thing, okay? And all these things are applicable to when you're going through adversity. If you want to change your life, what do you have to change? Everybody say it in unison. If you want to change your life, you have to change your
habits.
Habits. So tomorrow you pick something that you don't think you're doing very well at. Okay, want me to give you an example of me? About 18 months ago, I said, hey, you know what? I need to lose some weight. And in 18 months, it was a little bit at a time. I said, I have to change how I get up every morning. I have to change my eating habits. I have to change my workout routine. And I lost probably 38 pounds in 18 months. Now, it's taken me a while, but that changing a habit has made me feel 100 times better. Okay? So it could be studying. It could be time management. It could be procrastination. I don't want to do this paper until the last second. All those little things that you want to change, just pick one, pick two. You don't have to pick all 10 of them. Pick one or two. I promise you, you start seeing progress, you'll start to change. If there's any questions, I'm here for questions.
Wow. I want to thank you, brother, Sean Quinlan, but come on now. Let's throw questions at one of the things we'd like to do, something that could do about Major Quinlan's background, something to scenario challenges that you have. Obviously, even though we talk often, I still have questions. So I'm going to open up to you guys. Somebody step up and maybe throw a question out there. There's no wrong question.
I cannot think of anything.
Thank you, David. I appreciate you. That's all right. You know, one question I'll start the conversation is, tell us a little bit about yourself there, Major Sean Quinlan, brother. I see that you have an upcoming event. You're being invited to speak at a Veterans Day event in Missouri. What's on your radar now that you have retired from the Marine Corps? You have stepped away from education. You've made a huge impact there, which we're going to show your video a little bit. What's on your radar? What gets you going in the morning?
Yeah, a great question. I think I opened up today with a quote. And the quote was, there's a lot of things, Phil, that catch my eye, but very few things that catch my heart.
Yeah.
And what that means to me is I believe that I have the opportunity to go out and change the world and address bigger audiences and share with them my passion and some of the things I've learned in my life. I want to imbue on the souls of other people, because I know someday will be the day that I'm long gone, and hopefully my words of inspiration, some of my leadership principles might be etched on the souls of other people. So when they go mentor and motivate, that they can teach some of the things that I taught them. And so my next chapter in my life, I guess is what you're asking, is to go out there and professionally speak, to go out and consult and coach, but more importantly, go out and do God's work. There's a lot of people out there who need help. So I'm going to use my platform with the obviously foundation being godly principles, to go out there and share what I know, what I've learned with other people, and try to get them to achieve things that they never thought they could achieve.
Wow.
That makes sense.
Achieve things they never thought they were able to achieve. Wow. Anybody else like to weigh in? Larry Hunt, you joined us again. Anybody else? Kiara, go ahead. You had a question.
Well, I guess it's a bit of a metaphorical question. If you were faced with a mountain, and at the top of the mountain was the greatest happiness ever, is a really tall mountain, would you climb it, or would you give up or fall short halfway?
Oh, great question. And anybody knows me, I'm in the mountain climbing business. I love a challenge. I love a challenge. And I know happiness is, we create our own happiness. But one of the things I embrace and enjoy, my brother will share it with you probably in class, any challenge put before me, I don't care what other people say I can't do, because guess what? I'm American. I'm not Americant. And if I'm willing to work hard and get to the top of the mountain, I will definitely, at all odds, regardless of what it takes, whether it's on all fours, is get to the top of that mountain. Now, let's define mountains. One mountain could be a financial mountain. One mountain could be an education mountain. One mountain could be a physical mountain, Pikes Peak, which is 14,340 feet, which I've climbed. Mount Fuji, 13,980 feet, which I've climbed. Those are physical mountains. There's also everyday mountains that you students deal with every single day. And I look at mountains as there's three types of people. There are quitters. They look at the mountain, don't want any part of it. There are campers. They go halfway up the mountain and say, this is extremely too hard. I don't like to work with teams. I'm going to quit and go to the bottom of the mountain because there's a lot more people at the bottom. And then there's climbers. I'm in the climbing business, which is only about 15% of people. I only hang out with climbers. You are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with.
Yeah, I love that. Say it again. Say it again. I love that.
Show me your friends. I'll show you your future. I only hang out with climbers. And climbers are those that are willing to face any obstacle, regardless of its complexity, regardless of its steepness, and get together with the chosen few and come up with a plan and attack the mountain. Did that answer your question?
It does answer my question. Thank you.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Kiara Smith, what a beautiful question. Oh, yeah.
Hey, that was a lot I threw at you, Carrie Ann.
Anybody else that would like to? We're going to end our webinar today with the video. You don't want to miss this. If you have to go, I understand, but I'm going to leave this line open, and we're going to watch the Outside the Lines special on Major Sean Quinlan, and I think it would be beautiful to kind of follow up his message to get a little more insight into his head and his heart. So any final questions before we sign off with Major Quinlan? But he's welcome to stay on. He's seen this already. He's got to get on with his day. Anybody else? Question? All right. I want to throw out a few logistics for everybody before we thank Sean Quinlan here today. Crystal, I'm looking forward to seeing you today. We'll meet you in Shelby. David, stay on the line afterwards. I thought we were going a little over, but I want to talk with you, David, today, okay?
All right, yep.
All right. Sean, it was a pleasure today to hear your message. I want to thank you for joining our webinar series to make this a special piece of my day and the days of the students.
No problem. I look forward to watching you all from afar with foggy lenses.
Hey, hey, we'll give you a call later on today. Thank you for joining us. And anybody have any final thoughts or words for Sean Quinlan? Now would be a good time to say that.
I really enjoyed your piece, and you remind me a lot of Mr. Quinlan.
I don't know if that's got to be good, right, Alyssa?
It is.
Can you wake up? All right. Hey, I'm in the dream build business. That's what our family's into.
I love it.
Well, thank you for that compliment. That was definitely a compliment.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, brother. Don't want to go anywhere because I want you to see this special right now. I'm going to play it live. And Sean, you have a great day. Thank you for making our day. And we'll continue to stay connected, brother. Roughly 1,380 students, 28 different languages spoken in our schools, 44 different ethnicities. We are the poorest school in the state of Iowa. 80% of our kids live in so a lot of our kids go to school. That's a fact. Love, hope. How do we get them to find out what's in their heart, what makes them cry, what makes them happy? We got to get to know who they are.
My name is Devin King. I'm a senior at North High. Football safety. succeed on the jails. At first, I'm like, who is this fight?
Devin King, unbelievable energy. Didn't know how to run. Good temper. Okay. Devin will fight. Drop him a hat.
Father, getting out of jail. Mom, that's good at stops. For me to fight the way out. Couldn't let someone just hit me. I had to not let that home at all. I'm staying with good friends, out to town. Walking up, big old double back. I remember one time, Thanksgiving, I actually didn't have nowhere to go. I was at McDonald's, like washing myself up at McDonald's. Started doing lots of stuff I wasn't proud of. I used to always, have a gun. I used to take it everywhere.
Today's a special day. Got my best. A lot of time I can't Someone's getting older. Pride said the state parts to get out. What's going on in the Middle East? Do we want to tell them? Job opened up here at the place for junior ROTC. Then within 3 years. First year we didn't win any games. Let's go. Last year, won one game.
Scoreboard I want to see is 5 and 10 and 15 years from now, when you become the leaders of this community.
Mindsets, different things in my head that I never thought I could see. Where do I want to go? Like, what kind of man I would be.
Live our life. You quit now, we quit life.
Lost my life. Stop. If I have this gun, it's going to set me up to shoot someone. So I said, why not? Didn't have nowhere to live. So I gave her pride.
Lo and behold, our quarterback from last year was standing right there with that piece crying, telling us the story.
Still have
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a complete mailbox that has not been set up yet.
to have my clothes or something. Talk about this shit. I don't have to carry this out. because of the Civil War. That's going on. It was dangerous. That were it's a lesson that we had. With their parents, you put a Southwest on there.
See, I know what makes you cry. I know what makes you happy. I know what's in your heart. Devin, where are you at? This is about you. No one would take you, but who took you? Family took you. It's about family.
What he did for me and what he did for my teammates, he's going to benefit.
Trying to find balance is hard. All that it takes. Personally, family. I wanted to coach football, man, because I was a U.S. Marine, and I love leading men. Okay, I love men in battle, and the camaraderie that I have seen here the last 3 years. Okay, I'm gonna miss. I will not be your head football coach next year. My son's like you guys, a young man going into high school, gonna play a little football, get a little baseball. I owe it to my son to spend more time with him. And that was the reason I got out of the Marine Corps, because of my family. You guys are always my family, but you can come to me at any time.
I want to cry, but I understand. That's good.
Hey, everybody, have a great day. David, stay on the line, and we'll see everybody on Monday. If you need me, just reach out, and we'll connect soon. So it was great having you along today. I know it was a little long, but I appreciate all of you involved in today's guest speaker series. And if I give my brother 2 hours, he'd talk for 3. So I love him. I'm proud of him. And I feel proud to share him with you because he's genuine. Just like you, he's real, he's genuine. He wants the best out of life like all of you. So have a blessed day, everybody. Crystal, I will be down there at our arranged time. Looking forward to seeing you. And
All right.
David, sound good, Crystal?
Yeah.
Good show. We'll see you then. And David, stay on the line and we'll chat, okay?
All right.
Take care, everybody. Stay connected.